Our subconsciousness is the exact same as our physical body, but we just don't see it. So let's say it penetrates through each and every cell of our physical body, because we have the mind on the cellular level too. We know about the cellular intelligence, right? We don't have to control each and every cell to tell it how to do its function. Where does it get its intelligence? That's where it gets it, from the chi, from prana. And we don't have to consciously think, oh, I need to control this cell in my liver, right? It's already taken care of, because this flow of mental energy, which is chi, which follows the magnetism of the etheric layer of prana. And it reaches that distal point, and it tells each and every cell what to do. It has the knowledge, the universal knowledge. It's like a Sahasrara chakra here that has the eternal knowledge, and we're just, getting it, and then we're just unpacking it in our mind to whatever our mind allows to do so. Those nadis, they take, so their initial point is in Marmanis. Marmanis are the accupoints. Of the nadi channels, they come to the smaller stations, distributor station of prana in a specific area. And from that Marmani point, they travel to the larger stations. The nadis become a little thicker and longer, and they go to marmas. And those marmas, then they communicate to Mahamarmas. So we have Mahamarmas, and each Mahamarmas dwells right over each chakra. All of our organs require energy, more so that they require the physical food. So it's the super nutrient. Most powerful super nutrient is prana. So as long as we can harness prana and turn it into adequate chi energy, and then in adequate soma energy, we can nourish our mental realm and nourish our physical realm as well. Stephani Marma covers the ajna. This is the expression of MahaBuddhi, of the highest expression of our conscious mind. MahaBuddhi is not conditioned by ego. So tiny that most people just don't feel the connection to it. And this is the only expression of the mind that connects to spirituality. And that is the MahaBuddhi mind. That actually has no compromises. There's no compromise because there's no conditioning. Because the mind is connected to spirituality with just that string of MahaBuddhi. Because the spirituality then is hidden from the physical existence. And this is the only string that connects spirituality to physical existence in terms of the mental realm and in terms of the physical realm. Because even the mental realm is the physical realm too, is the physical existence, is our physical body. And within this framework of our today's discussion, we are not talking about spirituality. So our today's event is not spiritual event. It's more like a body and mind event, because we're talking about prana. And even though we understand prana is expression of consciousness, of course, consciousness is carried into the physical existence too, by the means of prana. Metabolism is made up of two processes. One is the assimilation, and the other is elimination.
So if the prana is the source of everything physical, then theoretically, breathing that in should be more potent than eating food, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
If your body can handle it, if your body is able to, like you said, process it, but usually it can.
It can.
That's why you have to keep eating, right?
Yes, that's why we have to keep eating and working on making those pathways patent and opening, unblocking those possibilities. If we're in tune going that way, then we'll be doing certain practices. We'll be cleansing our body, harnessing more magnetism. We're going to be doing the yoga. We're going to be doing the qigong, specifically for the mental body, in order to then ignite the qi in the mental realm. Once we've, let's say, pumped our etheric body with magnetism, pressing this energy ball, we're working with magnetism. We're actually increasing the size of our etheric body. Etheric body is like that. But then what are we doing with this ether or the magnetism that's like swirling in this etheric body? We need to convert it into our mental body. And instead of harnessing the prana from the outside from the cosmos, we are actually pulling the prana of the future potential of our life. This is how the flow of energy, specifically prana, is now adjusted to this age. And this is due to specifically this system. We cannot live long lives anymore because we're always in this metabolic mode where with the cooked food excites our microbiome, that gives the certain impulses through the lymphatic system that makes the mitochondria work quickly and pulls the prana from the cells, making them work quickly, put out more waste products. Of course, the quicker the cell works, the more waste products it will put out, wasting its potential, multiplying quicker, and that shortens the span of life, basically. So this is the way that our body can live on the cooked food. Otherwise, if we didn't have this aggregate, we would not be able to eat cooked food because it's so poisonous that because there's no living component. I mean, freshly cooked food, which is just prepared, that is still releasing prana, and we feel it through the aroma. Aroma is the very indicative of prana presence. So aromas and flavors, that what indicates the presence of prana. And this is one way of cooking food, and it smells so beautiful and aromatic. Wow, so flavors are releasing. This is when prana is evaporating. But once we've cooked it, the prana is still kind of there, but of course already in diminished quantity. But we still can get the benefit of it, of course. And reduced prana is something that our body is adjusted to and can function normally. Because the more prana we start allowing into our physical body, the more vata we can accumulate. Keeping the body as pure as possible, conduction of prana deeper into the organs and sustaining life in the most distal places, balancing it with and saturating it with all needed nutrients. So all the nutrients, all the salts, enzymes, coenzymes, amino acids, vitamins, that's the product of prana, pranic component, soma. Even the universe and our planet is also the product of prana. That means each and every nutrient in it is the product of prana. That means we already have this prana inside of us. That means we have all these elements and necessary physical nutrients already ingrained in prana. So unpacking that in the right way actually lays out the path of practice. It's good. Everything is good. There is no such thing as bad. Everything is trial and error. Well, men have designed and created many technology to harness energy. The man's mind's always been conquering the energy and putting it to work. And by creating the magnetic field, we are pretty much tapping into the pranic energy. Now, the magnetism has created the ignition. The ignition is so intense, and it is very bright and intense. It's pure light. So as we see, the light is the product of magnetism, of two opposites swirling around each other, creating the magnetism, and the physical universe is basically born. All the sacred knowledge ingrained in it and ready to start unpacking, the subtle realm and the layers of the body and the layers of the mind. These are the metaphysics, the chakras, because our consciousness travels through the diapasons, getting to the different vibes, and that transforms. The consciousness always transforms its qualities. Less people can neutralize the higher frequencies of EMFs now, because to neutralize that, we really need to have to be in touch with our energies and know how to do the grounding. So as long as we're doing the good grounding routines, we know how to ground and connect to earth and release the static of our electromagnetic field. And the electromagnetic field is the reflection of our mental realm. Now, let's talk about our conscious mind. Very interesting thing, and the subconsciousness. I like this, and then we'll build a connection on how prana is connected with subconsciousness and which way it can purify it. So our subconscious realm is called chitta, and it is sustained on chi, this bright light energy So the first few chakras are bright and light, and they're cold in potency. And then the flame starts flowing out of the light, and that becomes dimmer but hotter. Chitta, the subconscious realm, is sustained on higher expression of Agni energy. And it is connected, very much connected to the physical body. In fact, it is the Chitta, subconscious mind, that puts on the coat of the physical body. So when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we can say that we're looking at our subconsciousness. When people ask, where's my subconsciousness? And the answer is, it's in your mirror. Just look in the mirror, you will see your subconsciousness. So subconsciousness is always communicating to the frontal mind. What is the frontal mind? Is the lower mind that stands on the guard of our body, protects the body, that connects to the body by means of senses. There are 5 senses that are connected to the body. This lower mind is like the lake to which all the senses flow to. And they carry all the information that they get from the body, from the tactile feelings, from the smell, from the taste, from the vision, from the hearing. That all is connected to the physical body. Our physical body experiencing these things through the senses, and the body then communicates them to the lower mind, the thinking mind, the one that we think is our mind. We don't really think of our higher mind as our mind totally, but we think of whatever's immediately we feel. And immediately we feel this thinking mind that is connected to our body on day-to-day basis, especially when we're active in our external environment. It's not like we're meditating and trying to detach from our senses and keep them down so that our lower mind can calm and our buddhi mind starts evoking. But we are connected to it through the physical senses, and they're communicating to the mind. And this pathway is called sentimentalism, sense and mental. So every time people are justifying their behaviors, they're being sentimental. So our life is sentimental because our mind connected to the body. This is the pathway. Sentimentalism prevails in our lives. There are a lot of bodily concepts. We think of the body, that the body starts feeling something, that there is intuition in the body. Due to these distortions, that would actually be sensing, anticipating things to come. But this is just the bodily intuition. Beyond that, there is work of higher conscious mind, where we do not listen to what our body desires. And then we start listening to the sense. Sometimes people say, oh, I know what my body needs. I need pizza at this moment. I want pizza because my body needs that. But this is the body talking to the mind through the sentimental pathway. And the mind is listening to the needs of the body, to the desires of the body, and it fulfills it. And it's not, there is no spirituality in it. There is no spirit. It's 100% ignorance, 100% ignorance. So somebody who says, I know what my body needs, beyond those who already achieved the state of knowing for sure what it is, beyond the sentimentalism, this pattern is non-spiritual. It is sentimentalism. The first step on living life in a conscious way is to try to always tap into buddhi mind or refer to it to each and every action. The buddhi mind has the ability to develop. The more you develop, the more you're turning it into transcendental mind, which then becomes the pure divinity and gives you the way to connect to the spirituality. So, okay, so distortions now, samskaras. Samskaras are created every single. The samskara is the distortion of perception through our senses and the conclusions that we make. So if we witness something imbalanced in the external environment that leaves us puzzled and keeps us confused, that will create the electromagnetic unit within our subconscious realm, within the chitta, according to each and every nadi. So nadi will carry this misaligned projection, distorted projection of the mind all the way deep into the tissue, into the specific organ, accordingly to how the situation unveiled. For example, if it was connected to the male part of the family, for example, the misunderstanding of one person happened with their father, that distortion will travel into the right part of the body, into the right leg, and it's just the energy knows where to take this distortion. In the nadi there, that distortion is going to start hanging like a grape on a vine, which is the vortex. So it's just the energy field around, and then there is a needle-like vortex inside. So this needle projects in the quantum vision. Let's say when you're checking through your subtle body to like different layers, then you will see those samskaras hanging on nadis like grapes on the vine, looking more distinct like needles, causing the tiny sensation in the body. It may be not just tiny, it can then become gross depending on the size of samskara, and it will become very tangible inside the body. And that sensation inside the body will start sending impulses to your brain of what it wants to do, whether it wants to be avertive to that person because that person was the reason of this samskara, and that samskara is the samskara of aversion. So that samskara will contain the emotional factor. Once they see that in the external environment, of course, samskara will activate with the emotion of aversion. It may not be a negative samskara, it can be a positive samskara. It could be more maybe exaltation, but that emotion will also be the part of that samskara nesting in the subconsciousness. And once you see this triggering factor on the external world that will connect to the samskara and activate it, then all this emotional content will surface up. That will define your thinking pattern and your behavioral pattern and your reaction.
1 second, just wanted to show you a physical manifestation of such samskara. So me, for example, I like to use personal examples, and maybe it will help you, look at yourself and kind of, analyze. My mom, for example, so she is an absolutely wonderful person, love her, and she loves me, and she loves all her kids, highly educated, just a very good person. But she has had certain problems throughout her life with, with the first husband and the second husband. So, and that put a huge, so all her emotional challenges put a huge load on me because I was like the eldest of the siblings. And so what that did to me, so I don't know if it's noticeable, but for example, the left side of my mouth is kind of, downward pointing. So, and when I talk, for example, I don't see it, but when I look at myself in the mirror or when I look at my videos, I can totally see that. So it's just an example.
I didn't see that before.
No?
Yeah. So
this side, the left side, which is the mother side, it definitely feels more numb than the right side.
So this is how subconsciousness is our body, because this, this samskara is distorting even the physical body. Misunderstanding of the truth is already samskara. Like, the people, when they become emotional, that means that their samskaras are activating in their subconsciousness. Now they don't know how their behavior is going to unfold. Our behavior is defined by our subconsciousness, specifically by the samskaras that are nesting in our subconsciousness as the result of previous experiences of this life or the previous life that has put these distortions into our subconsciousness, and to which our mind refers first, because this sentimental pathway is very well established on the front line. This is how the mind refers to the previous experience, not to the sense and reasoning. Calm emotion down and think logically, think in a reasoning realm, understanding what's the good or what the bad. We are prone to act immediately through the sentimental pathway because the previous experience already happened, and that our distortions already dictating by providing the emotion. And then within this emotion, people start acting. They start thinking, because emotion is number one, and then thinking is number two. And when people are emotional, the unfoldment of their actions are not gonna lead to some mischiefs and unhappy endings. So that's the way of samskara. Every second they evolve and they disperse. We release samskaras, we collect samskaras, more significant samskaras deeper in our mental realm that do in their time start surfacing up and producing us the events and the emotions that we need to recognize and deal with. The way that we're gonna recognize and deal with is gonna define whether we're gonna release this samskara and purify, or we don't release and we stagnate where we were before with all of our attachments, or even worsen, become more aggressive, more hateful, Ayurveda can be practiced in appropriately for each guna. So for one of the gunas, the doshic principle is the basic one, because the pranic principle is not the basic principle for the tamasic part of Ayurveda or for the Rajasic part of Ayurveda even. The raw food and the pranic concept, it's a different principle of Ayurveda that specifically concentrate on study of the flow of prana through our subtle body, more so than modifying the flow of the doshas in our physical body and even the doshas effect on our subtle body. Now we're going to be checking for the doshas in our constitution. There are three doshas. The one is vata, then the other is pitta, and the third is kapha. They coincide with the pranic components, marut, agni, and soma, the physical manifestations of these components, and they comprise our existence in the physical body. So what we're checking is the energy of air, energy of fire, and energy of earth through our pulse. Now, ladies, you will check the left arm, the radial pulse on the left arm right here. We all know the radial pulse. Did everybody ever take the pulse? In allopathic medicine, pulse is measured by the intensity, frequency, weakness, those parameters. But in Ayurveda, we also, other than that, we're checking for vata, pitta, and kapha. So these three fingers will be the scanners of the elements through the pulse. So the way we're gonna do it, we're gonna take three fingers. For gentlemen, we're doing it on our right hand. The way we do it, we bring the arm to our chest. Okay, yes. And then we go like that. Yes, with the three fingers. Three fingers now. The first finger goes here. At one finger width down from the wrist line, at this point of the radial pulse is vata. This is where the forefinger goes on, the tip of the forefinger. The next one is pitta, and this is the fire element. The middle fingertip goes on it, and the ring finger checks the kapha, or the earthly element, and goes right next to it as the third finger. Now, so we touch our pulse, we figure out, here it is. All right, so we figured out, here it is. All right, don't press it. Now release it and relax. Okay, so we found it, but relax. Now let's concentrate, bring your attention, because the attention is the driver of our mental energy. That's the tip of our mental energy is attention. All the attention now is the three fingertips. And now gently start applying pressure very evenly, distributed through the three fingers into the pulse. Whichever finger fills the pulse first, that's the element that is out of balance. Whichever finger fills the... All right, there you go, number one. Pitta there, okay, which is middle finger. So the slight, like from the point where you feel no pulse and you're starting going into the pulse, the first superficial pulse layer indicates your imbalanced element. I feel some pitta, yeah, okay. You may feel some vata. Usually vata is the easiest element to get knocked out of balance. And then of course, pitta. And then kapha is the heaviest element, more steady. And this is the very hard to get knocked out of balance. However, specifically that element, when it's out of balance, a lot of metabolic waste inside the body, that is the reason to put the vata out of balance. That's what I've been observing, and I can tell you from my own experience. Okay, so let's take a few seconds and distinguish the imbalanced element. Go ahead. All right, good. Remember what you felt. Now let's go and check our constitution, the natural state of the elements. This is how we do it. Now all the three fingers simultaneously have to go very deep as when they just squeeze the pulse completely, but always distributing the pressure evenly through the three fingers. All the way down, we squeeze the pulse fully and then start releasing it evenly. And then the first finger to feel the pulse from out of the squeezed pulse is the element that prevails in our natural constitution. Ready? Let's do that. Squeeze it all the way down until you stop feeling the pulse, and then start releasing it slowly, gently. Yes, yes. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yes. You can have anything and everything. Everything is possible in this world that even we don't think is possible is possible. This is how the complexity of the energies. But everything that we see in the complexity of energies and complexity of shapes and forms and meanings, that's all the complexity of conscious beings processing the prana and creating things. So everything is possible. When we hear two elements, that means we have two main elements in our constitution. Accordingly, we will have specific qualities and specific features that will be indicative of our individual mind or the body. It will just lay out the certain picture, the way we look, the way we carry through life, the way we, develop habits, what we preference, what we don't like, according to how we process the prana. Because prana is the main carrier of consciousness.